and entrepreneur straight out of New York City, Michael Chernow. What's cracking?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Creatures of Habit Podcast. I'm very excited about today's guest. He is like a brother from another mother. Brian and I have a very, very similar career trajectory. We do a lot of the same things. He is a legend in many people's eyes, and including mine. And I can't wait to talk to him about his habits. I'm sure most of you have already heard about him or know of him or follow him, but he is really a guy who lives a lifestyle of wellness on a day-to-day basis consistently and shares his experience and touches so many people. He launched a business called HPLT, High Performance Lifestyle Training, and he puts on a bunch of really incredible events where he gets a bunch of people together all over the world and puts together these retreats that are life-changing for people. Brian is also an investor in a bunch of great brands that we are all very friendly with, and he's just an all-around awesome dude. I can't wait to talk to him about his habits. Brian Mazza, welcome to the KOH Pod.
Thanks, bro. Good to connect again.
Yeah, man. We've been buddies for a long time.
Yeah.
And we don't get to hang out in person as much as I'd like to.
Well, COVID definitely screwed that one up for everybody. Mm-hmm. We were both in the city more often, right? If COVID never happened, you probably would have never left.
That's very true. Definitely would have never left, without a doubt. So I moved out of the city 3 years ago. March 17th or something like that is our 3-year anniversary of leaving the city. And yeah, you know, like I will say living in upstate New York I love it. I absolutely love it. It's brought me so much closer to my family. My family unit is so much tighter. However, the wintertime is hard. The wintertime is tough.
Well, you got to go to Alaska. And the wintertime will not be tough for you. But no, I understand that. Listen, I love the warm weather. I love the sun just as much as anybody. But I have a different appreciation for the cold now that I just came back from Alaska we were talking about. But yeah, I can see how winters can be tough. I find it more tough for our children. My sister lives in Miami, and her kids are outside playing 24/7.
Yeah.
So I feel guilty in that sense that I'm robbing my kids that experience. Because I know a lot of people who did move down to Florida or Texas or wherever warmer during COVID, and they've said it was the best experience of their life because of just the outdoor experience and the outdoor activities that they get to consistently do.
My sister did the same thing. My sister moved down to Florida as well, just outside of West Palm, and we were just down there visiting them. And she moved from Rockland County, and she's like, why? I don't know what I was doing.
Exactly, and I don't know. Like I'm a big baby, I guess, that I can't rip the Band-Aid off. We can work remote. Mm-hmm. My wife can't work remote yet, so maybe that's what's holding us back right now. But I don't know. I feel like you can breed different athletes down there. You can breed a different approach to life, and you can experience things that you don't experience here in New York, and vice versa, right? But the warmer weather, I think, is the key to happiness.
Brian and I came from the world of hospitality.
Yes.
We both bartended, promoted, and then ultimately ended up opening up our own restaurants.
Yeah.
Grind hard in that industry for a long time, but always used fitness as like kind of like our foundation once we like saw the light.
Correct.
And once we realized that there's a better there's a better way to live than grinding till all hours of the night in the world of hospitality, we started evolving into fitness, wellness, nutrition, mindset professionals.
Yeah, well, I mean, the industries that we were in provided a really great life. The industry that we were in is something that you can utilize for the rest of your life. So it is an essential necessity. When people ask me, I don't know what to do with my life, I'm young, I'm 21, I'm 22, I say, go work at a restaurant or a bar. Just go do it. You have to experience that. Your personal skills interacting with people just go on another level.
Another level.
You see people in their darkest times, usually, and you can differentiate if that's what you want to do or be, maybe. And it's just the experience of so many different cultures in one place all the time. So I encourage people to do what we did at some point in their life. we were also fortunate enough to be creators in that space, and you've done a really great job with so many different brands, way better than I ever did in that space. But we did the thing. We were those guys. And it was a really cool time in New York. It was like the Renaissance time, right? It's not what it is now. The opportunities I felt like were endless in our space. It was easier to create. There was really no social media at that point too, right? So it was, I remember vividly, we didn't even allow people to post their birthday on Facebook to come to the Ainsworth when we did our thing. We didn't want
it's
that.
so funny you say that. When Meatball Shop launched, it was the very, very beginning of like taking pictures of food. It was like
first, right?
It was like the first, like,
and bad quality pictures.
And honestly, the two formats that they would show up in were TripAdvisor and Yelp.
Yeah,
those two places, right? Like, we were fired up. We'd be like, we're number one on TripAdvisor. There was no Instagram. People on Facebook were not like posting pictures of their food. It's so interesting to see how that's evolved, right?
Totally, right? And I remember, I forgot the name of the handle, but like when they would post the mac and cheeseburger, and it would go viral.
I remember you were doing those.
I was going crazy for that, right? And we were like everywhere.
With the big knife in it, right?
Big knife in it, and I'm sure I got a lot of people sick. But then we did the 24-karat gold wings.
That was
a huge success for us too. So yeah, I remember people coming in and like taking bad pictures, and the social media has evolved so much, and the quality that people are putting out when they go to restaurants, but it also can hurt restaurants too, which is really scary.
100%.
So it's a gift and a curse with that.
I think like in the world of restaurants, and this is obviously a little sidebar conversation, we're going to get into the habits, but like it's so interesting to see, when I started working in restaurants, and, even when we first couple of years of owning restaurants, what you were really concerned about was people that were going to come in and write a review, right? Like New York Mag, New York Times, like an editor from Bone App or whatever, Food and Wine Mag, like that was what you were concerned about. And then all of a sudden the landscape shifted, and it went from like the New York Times review being like obviously still very, very important and influential, but there were 1,000 like food bloggers that were, like trudging around New York City, going into as many restaurants as they can, taking as many pictures as they can, and then writing about it, and then forgetting about like once social media became a thing, every single person that walked into your restaurant was dying to take a picture of your food and post it.
And they had no credentials.
Right.
Right? So it's like it could be, Billy or Sally with 600 followers who hates their finance job and now is trying to get into this food business just because they think they have a good palate or they had a good burger one day. Oh, I could do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you've actually just ruined now my restaurant.
Totally. Well, like every plate.
Exactly. It's just like someone on Instagram now who thinks they're a trainer, right? And I make it very clear with people, like, I'm not a trainer, right? I don't have a NASM certificate.
Yeah.
I just know it works for me. So it's like the same thing in that world, right? Everyone's saying, train with me, do this, do blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I'm not hurting another business by posting a bad workout at a gym, but these people were hurting a lot of restaurants and experiences for people just because they felt like that they had some right to take a photo, which they do have a right to take a photo, but it crippled a lot of businesses. And everyone thought they were New York Times, and everyone thought they were Wall Street Journal, and you're definitely not.
So transitioning into your new lifestyle, new career in the world of wellness and just sort of better living lifestyle. And really because you have worked in restaurants like I have, developed chops in connecting and engaging with human beings, you really had no problem getting in front of a large group of people and saying, hey, like, this is how I live my life. It really works well for me. You might gain something from me sharing this experience.
Sure. So, again, back to the restaurant stuff, you learn a lot about habits and you learn a lot about bad habits, which we've all done, right? Many times. So yeah, I partied just like the best of them. I was that guy. I was the party guy. Back in my apartment, going crazy, ripping it, having a good time. And I think there's a time and place for all that, right? I never got to a point of addiction or a point of, wow, I have to stop or it's going to be game over. But it got to a point where I was like, I'm not happy with myself. I'm not happy with the decisions I'm making with myself. I started resenting myself and not really enjoying myself. And I didn't like how I treated people when those things were going on. So when I was finally got with, in a better mental state to take this new route and position that I wanted to go, I felt the restaurant industry was great to help me build confidence, right? It gave me the confidence to say, okay, you built this brand really well. You went through the trials and tribulations of building and failing and trying to recreate. So you know what it's like to fail. Now, go out and get it. Go out and do it the way you want to do it. Be true to yourself. Live your best life. You know what not to do. And you can transition from running events and running these big businesses to really seamlessly transitioning into running fitness events, because it's the same thing in a very similar way, because it's still hospitality. Right. I'm still providing you an experience to come to my summit. And at the end of the day, yes, you'll get the good workout and you'll meet the great people, but I need you to be very happy leaving that summit. And I just really applied the same exact principles that I've learned during the restaurant space into just sweating with a bunch of dudes and gnarly women who want to rip it.
You just said something that I think is so important to highlight. And we're obviously taught this in hospitality, but it's applied to anything in life, right? When someone leaves, they need to be happy.
Correct.
It doesn't matter what they're like on the way in, right?
No.
Like they could be stoked on the way in. They could be miserable on the way in. They could be miserable in the middle of the experience. It's how they leave is going to dictate how successful you are as a business person.
Correct.
Like, what is the feeling that person has when they're done with using your product, business, experience, whatever?
Yeah, so I have a really strong emphasis on why I think high performance lifestyle training is successful. I truly think that you become a better human leaving the summit than you did coming in. And I have a strong emphasis on my team to beat that down into the experience. It could be something of like hydration. It could be something of dinner, right? And again, when we have these summits and we do the dinners and lunches, I get mega stressed out during this time because I know from experience in hospitality what kitchens are going through and what the maitre d' is going through or just what the establishment is going through. Mm-hmm. So I go back into crazy restaurant mode and people are like, who's this guy? I'm like running into their kitchens and not my restaurants or not my hotels and stuff. So I think there's a strong emphasis on the hospitality side of things that I've been easily able to transition into doing something that I truly, truly love. I liked the restaurant game. I was young, I was single, it was really fun. New York City was way different. But that really laid the groundwork for my next 10 years after that. Because that's when boutique fitness was super popular. Mm-hmm. Me and you were going through that circuit, right? Working with cool brands at the time and just getting exposure to all these people. Especially that all those people would come to your restaurant. All those people came to my restaurant that made decisions in the fitness space too. Whether it was Men's Health Magazine, whether it was a car brand I wanted to work with. I still utilize so many people in my Rolodex from my restaurant days now that have senior vice president jobs or president jobs of these major corporations. They know how reliable I was for them in the hospitality space. Now they understand, and it's not even a conversation, we can get a deal done in this new venture I'm doing because it's the same principles that apply.
Totally. Let's talk about what your morning routine looks like. You and I are both husbands. We're both fathers to two young boys. We've got a lot of similarities, man.
I know, it's cool.
How old are your kids?
5 and 3.
So my kids are my sons are 5 and about to be 8. So I'm a couple years ahead of you in that game. But it's the same exact thing. Being a father is like the coolest, most amazing.
There's no job that you can compare it to.
So what does your morning routine typically look like?
So I try to get up consistently at the same time. There's other factors that definitely screw that up, whether it's Lukey getting up in the middle of the night all the time or me sleeping in his car bed with him on the plastic on my back and I lose sleep. But I'm usually up around 5:30, 5:15, 5:30. And that's my alone time. And I think that's really important for people to understand. I know you preach that as well, is that if you don't have your alone time at certain parts of the day, it might not work for you in the morning, but it might be your nighttime routine or whatever. You start to build resentment just inherently as a human being that you can't do stuff for yourself. So I focus on that being my time. I also have a very flexible schedule. So throughout the day, I get to have my time too, but it's not the morning routine that I truly love, which is ice bathing in the morning consistently.
Walk us through it. I want to hear it.
Yeah. So, I get up 5:15, 5:30, go downstairs. And my initial routine right away used to be coffee. And I really slowly found out that I don't need that hit in the morning to have energy. And I've kind of weaned myself off of that just by trial and error. So I'll wake up now, I'll make a shake right away in the morning. So, I've found that I wasn't getting enough protein in, and that usually got off track by the beginning of my day. So I'll get probably, 40 to 60 grams of protein in right away in the morning, make a shake, get my creatine, get my fiber in through fruit or whatever other supplement that's available, take my vitamins, and then I'll go maybe put on the news for a little bit or put SportsCenter on just because I love watching sports, check that out for a couple minutes, and then go into the office that I have now and just start looking at my computer, see what's going on, seeing what I have to do for the day, and just start mapping out my day. And just with anticipation that I'm pumped that my kids are going to wake up soon and I get to just like be a dude with them on the couch and hang out. So they'll have their bottles, and that's really like my routine. It's nothing like crazy. And then get them sorted out with breakfast, lunch, and get them ready for school. Then I'll go ice bath for 3 minutes, which is really quick, but my procrastination prior to going that might take a little longer. But I'll ice bath, and then they're probably off to school, and then I hit my run. And, we talk about morning routine and habits and stuff. Those are like my non-negotiables, right? Those are things that I do every single day. They don't change if I'm on vacation. They don't change if something's going on with work. Those are things that have to get done in order for me to just be able to get stuff done throughout the day the right way. So I'm not like I don't go outside and do grounding. I'm not like, I don't read the Bible, which is nothing wrong with it, but just stuff I don't do. And this has worked for me. I've found for myself the easier and simpler tasks in the morning of just making my shake, watching the TV for 2 minutes, maybe doing a little breath work that's not consistent. I would like to get more consistent with that. And checking my emails and my schedule has worked for me and doesn't give me anxiety, and it allows me to do my thing.
You know what? I think it's so important to say that too, the non-negotiables, right? Because I have a very long list of things that I do every morning that, quite frankly, for me, actually work for me, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody's different. However, the thing that I think is like the point that you're making, and I think to really clearly define for the listener is just because somebody does something and they say it's like, the God sent, doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
No, not
and
at
if
all.
there's something that like you don't want to, like let's use ice bath, right? Like you and I love the ice bath. Even though we hate it, we love it, right? Like the feeling that you get when you walk out of a 3 to 5 minute ice bath is unlike any other feeling you can create in any other way.
It's almost like doing drugs, to be honest with you.
Basically, right? Like it sucks getting in. It's a nonstop argument with myself. Every single time before I get in there, I'm like, am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? I never not do it, but that's putting yourself in a discomfort like first thing in the morning for me anyway. But the point I'm trying to make is the non-negotiables for me are like 3 to 5 things. Have to happen. They happen to set the foundation for my day. The other 12 things that I do every single morning when I'm at home and life is like normal and I'm like not traveling, the kid, like nobody's sick, like I'm able to get up and just get them all done. Amazing. It's awesome to be able to do that stuff. The stuff that I post on social on a regular basis. All those crazy things. I love to be able to do them, but those are not the things that I do when I'm like traveling, when I'm tired. Those are the things that I love as awesome, additions.
But there's also 2 really important things that I should have touched on that we didn't. I choose 2 paths. It's either savage or bitch every morning, and I circle one of them. Usually the savage.
How often do you go on the
And
bitch
this is
route?
really important to know for people that they should start doing this. Those two paths have two mega different consequences in your life. If you pick the bitch, you are going to go down a rabbit hole and go down a path that is not going to help you, that is not going to help anyone around you. It's going to put you in positions of failure, and it's going to put you in a position that ultimately is going to suck. When I pick Savage, I do everything possible in my life to become the best fucking version of myself, and everyone around me, and my children, and my friends, and my parents, and my business becomes better.
100%.
So when you pick bitch, you're letting everyone down, but most importantly, you're letting yourself down. When you pick Savage, you go into a different stratosphere of excellence. I just got back from Alaska. The cold water does not fucking scare me anymore. I was in 29-degree running water with waterfalls, kicking the living shit out of me in a cave at night. I run now with no shirt on in 25-degree weather. That is my Savage circle. Also, it's very important to understand a life-changing experience, an event, or a new friend that could be positive for you will change your trajectory in your morning routines, in your night routines, in your routine throughout the day. So I encourage people to go out of their comfort zone more than just our ice bath. Go on a fucking trip alone with 8 people that you don't know and don't care about social media until you have to post later in the night. But don't care about it throughout the day. Go find a new friend that might be similar to what you love to do and just learn about them and do fun stuff with them. This will change so many things in your life.
You just said, you know, it has been top of mind for me. Community.
It's the best.
Community is so important.
Like-minded people that just uplift you and do things you want to do with. I mean, you just like, you know, I just met we'll talk about this. I was just at an event last week and someone's like, where do you live? And I was like, oh, Pelham Manor. They're like, no way. I have the guy for you. And I was like, really? Tell me more. Right? Not in that way, but I was like, tell me more. So like, well, there's this guy, he lives I think he lives in Pelham Manor. I was like, oh, let's look him up. He lives a quarter mile from me. Ice bath in his backyard. He has an ice barrel, cold plunge, sauna, trains every day. And I was like, this guy. And I've been seeing this guy walk around my town with the weighted vest on pushing his kid. And I would just honk at him because I was like, oh, this dude's fucking rad. Now we're like boys and we ice bath and we chill and we train. And it's just like, holy shit, meeting someone new with a like-minded experience has changed my whole thing about my town. I'm like, this is great.
I wish I had that guy.
You wish you had that guy, right?
I got nobody, man.
Exactly. I was like, bro, we meant to be? And he's like, I think so.
God,
but anyway,
so
that's
funny.
the way community is, right? Those are things that make me happy now. Back in the day, I wouldn't have give a shit that this guy likes to run and work out. But we need that.
We need it. Do you have an evening wind down routine that you like to stick to?
I'm very inconsistent with it because I feel like, well, Lukey doesn't fall asleep that well. So I end up falling asleep in his bed with him. And that has screwed me up, just being honest with everybody. So, you know, I'm like I said, I'm weaning off coffee, so I don't really have, if I do have caffeine or whatever, it's not past 1 o'clock.
Yep.
I feel like that had screwed me up for a long time, not really knowing if I had caffeine at like 3 o'clock, an iced coffee or something like that. That really
Me too.
screwed so much up for me because my body wasn't really processing it and it was just there.
Yeah.
So I like to have a night shake as well. So I feel like I'm really getting my numbers in. But
Like what time?
I would say around after dinner, around like 8 o'clock, I'll have the shake.
And you're in bed by like 9:30, 10?
Yeah, in bed by an early night.
You know, I want to talk about that real quick because that's something that I do too, right? And I used to do it when I was bodybuilding. It was like my protein requirement was so ridiculous because I was naturally bodybuilding. I needed to eat, like I was 100 and whatever, in my bulk, 165 pounds. I literally was eating like 250, 260 grams of protein a day. It was insane. And so there was
I'm sure everyone liked that at your house.
Yes. I was the undercover, yeah, whatever. But it was a lot of protein that I had to eat. So I was eating, 7 nights a week. I was having this late night protein shake that I love. I mean, I still love it. It's like ice cream for me. I make it. I've dialed in the recipe. It's so good. However, something that I've noticed in my sleep, it sucks because I really want to have that 7:45 to 8:15 smoothie. I really do. But when I don't have it and I finish eating at the end of the day.
Sleep better?
Oh, dude, I sleep so much better.
Your body doesn't have to work.
I sleep so much better, man. It sucks because by 9:30 I'm done. I'm done. I just, unless we're at an event or out at dinner or whatever. And even then I'm kind of like, oh, I'm fucking tired. You know what I mean? But like we're in bed by 9:30. I'm typically asleep by 9:32.
But once I started to incorporate, now I don't do this consistently at night, which I really want to start doing. But once I've consistently started adding the sauna at night,
that might be something I should start doing.
I sleep better.
Huh.
My REM has gone up, and my light sleep has gone down, and my deep sleep is better.
Do you plunge at night too?
So last night I plunged. So I did 3 rounds last night. So I did 3, 20, 3, 20, 3, 20.
Wow.
And my sauna was at like 210.
So
the sauna was
is
actually...
it a barrel sauna or is it a...
Sisu.
Oh, so you got a Sisu sauna. Okay, cool.
But it's like similar in that sense. Actually, the sauna was way more difficult than the cold.
Yeah.
I thought my inner soul was melting. I was like, I have to get out of this fucking thing. But I find that 20 minutes in the sauna totally fixes sleep issues for me.
Yeah, I've got 2 saunas at the house. I got a barrel sauna outside.
Right? Beautiful.
And then I've got an infrared that I use every morning in the garage. And I never sauna at night. Because I feel like I don't get a lot of time with my wife.
Yeah, it's probably just like another thing on the list, right? And she's probably like,
yeah, like if I'm like, hey babe, I'm going to the sauna. She's like, really? You're going to the sauna? Like
have her come with.
My wife is Danish. She's a Viking, dude.
So she likes the cold.
Dude, that's why we'll never go.
Does she ice bath?
No, she doesn't do anything. My wife is like, she like doesn't believe in God. She could care less about a fucking pouch of green powder. None of it. My wife like eats fucking white flour, bakes all sorts of treats for the kids. Like, but she's healthy. She's very healthy. She does a lot of yoga, but my life, our stuff, doesn't. She's just like, you guys are. This is useless. She's just like, you're basically
like enough creatine.
Yeah. She's just like it doesn't register. If I told Donna to get into a cold plunge, she'd like laugh at me hysterically and ask like, why would anybody in the world do that?
It's not for everyone.
It's not. Does your wife hop in?
No.
Does she do anything?
She has before, but not into it.
Yeah. So the evening routine, you kind of get thrown off. But like, let's just call it on a good idea.
A good night.
Yeah.
So a good night would be like dinner with the fam, and then bath time for them. Get them all sorted out. Now Leo's going through like the whole reading phase, so banging that out. Trying to get Lukey down. So if I get him down successfully and I don't fall asleep in the fucking...
Do you put him down every night?
I do, because we have just a very... It's my dude. So unless I fall asleep in the car bed or not, say that's around like 8. Right? So now
what's the bedtime ritual with the kids? I'm curious.
Oh my God. So bath time, and then we'll probably watch some TV together, mess around, then Leo will do his reading and stuff. So that's like that. And then Luke, he's still 3 years old. So God, it's so cute. I'm like, stop growing. Nighttime routine with him is, reading to him, loves me scratching his back. So he's like such a ham, scratch his back. He likes Spanish guitar, slow music. So we put that on. And he just kind of winds down, but he's still very like, Daddy, stay with me.
So you stay until he's passed out.
You know what? Like, listen, those times are not going to last forever, so I don't complain. I'll just eat it up. So say we're good. 8 o'clock, he's down. They're both sleeping. Downstairs, shake it up, make a shake, boom, boom, boom. Go outside. Now, during this time, I'll probably have the sauna heating up, right, with anticipation it's going to work out. Sauna's at 210. Hop in that thing for 25, 30 minutes. Come in, probably take some magnesium, right, in a little water, and shower, in bed, put some TV on, maybe catch Netflix or whatever, watching a show, and then I'm out. Never finish the show, never make it through the intro of the show, knocked out. So I just turn it on, it's like a
What
crutch.
is your room, your bedroom like? Like, what kind of tools do you have in there for sleep?
Zero, just pitch dark.
That's it.
That's it.
No cold mattress, no sleep mask, none of that stuff.
I sleep with like 2 really warm blankets on me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're cool sleeping in the hot.
Yeah, I don't really sweat. Plus, I have my dog in the bed. She's like a heater. And then my wife, sometimes she sleeps on the couch because she has to get up at like 3:30, 4 to go into the city to film.
Yeah.
So sometimes she's in the bed, sometimes she's not, just for the fact that she has to just get up. Her car's waiting for her.
Yeah.
So it's hectic. We have a very hectic life in that sense. So sometimes routines get thrown off. But my morning routine, again, non-negotiable. Like the sauna at night's not a non-negotiable. It's like a treat.
Yep, totally.
I would love it to be non-negotiable. Mm-hmm. But again, the list is really long, and I feel like things wouldn't work out.
Do you and your wife have a date night?
We don't. No, I saw you just recently post on that. I wish we did. But again, she got home at 9 o'clock last night. I'm on daddy duty.
Yep.
I'm leave for Costa Rica tomorrow morning. She's on mommy duty. She's out tonight.
Yeah.
Right? So it's
so hard,
I wish,
man.
yeah.
So
I
hard.
wish we could do certain things that other couples can do. But the grass isn't always greener.
Right.
Right? So yeah, we kind of fly by at the night sometimes.
Yeah, and I will also say that, like my wife and I, it's a constant conversation, because there will be moments where we're like hitting a date night and then it just completely falls to the wayside. Like recently, what made me what triggered me to do that little solo pod on love and communication is this idea that my wife and I have been having this conversation, because I'm like, I'm just like dying for more community in my life. And whether that's community with just like me and my wife hanging out together alone without kids, because that just shit doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? It's so hard. Even when the kids are with the babysitter and we're out, like you can't just like
Zone
flip
out. You're
the
thinking
switch.
about them. Did Lukey go to sleep?
Well, yeah, well, not even that. Like, it's just like your parents. So like, it's not like you could just be like lovers, right? Like it takes consistency in doing the date night thing, from my experience, to be able to like toggle back and forth between like, oh, you're my wife, you're the woman I love, I want to touch you, to like, oh yeah, like we're mom and dad.
Also, like at dinners, we'll go out to dinner, and half the time we're talking about annoying shit. Hey, we got to pay this guy. We got this work coming up, or oh my God, you hear about that at school? And it's like,
yeah,
I don't want to talk about that shit.
So I think the idea is like, it's not about. There's no like, even with the habits.
There's
like,
no secrets. I mean, there are maybe some secret sauces here and there, but there's no perfect script.
No.
For this. It's very difficult. And being parents, I think now, and people might not like this, is way harder than it was, I think, when my parents had us. Mm-hmm. I think it's way more difficult now. There's way more pressure now. There's way more accessibility now to doing things, saying yes to things. There's pressure of saying yes to things now. I could be out every single night at an event. Mm-hmm. My wife could be too. My wife kind of has to do that for her work too. And I think that's harmful in a lot of ways to everything, right? So, I don't know. Sometimes I just want to move on a farm, dude.
I'm there.
And ride a horse.
I'm living on a farm. It's still tough.
Now we know.
It's still hard, bro.
It's still hard.
It's so hard.
I know.
What give us a habit that you've broken that really helped change your lifestyle.
Well, I used to drink a lot, in the sense of I had bars. So I'd be at the bar, and if you came in, we'd have a drink. Then if my other 3 buddies came in, we did a shot. Right? So that was like routine.
Yeah.
So when I committed to myself to say stop drinking, I'm going to stop drinking cold turkey, I stopped. And I did 6.5 years without a drink. Now I'll have an occasional glass of wine with my wife on a special occasion. And I recently just had 2 glasses of wine to check my recovery with Whoop.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
That was really fun to do in Athletic Brewing.
Did you see a shift?
I saw a huge shift.
Wow.
Just off 2 glasses of wine. I don't drink. I don't consider myself a drinker now. So I think that habit of cutting that whole thing out of my life improved every single thing around me. In terms, I made more money, I was happier with myself, I got better sleep, the clarity was crystal clear. I was able to have more self-respect. I was able to show up every day for myself and other people better. So that was a huge habit that was eliminated. And I never wanted to have that excuse again in my life. And I made that promise to myself as a father that I would never let my kids see me drink. My dad never really drank around me. Maybe a beer here and there, but never drank.
I mean, from the outside, I don't know the super details, but you have like such a iconic relationship with a guy with his father. It just seems like you and your dad are like it's totally something that I look at and I'm saying, man, like that. I just wish I had that kind of.
And you will have that with your kids.
Yeah.
And that's a big fear of mine, to not have that with my kids. And that chokes me up a bit, right? Like my dad's taking me to the airport tomorrow to Costa Rica just so we can chill and have a coffee together on the way to the airport, right? Because we're like, let's catch up. When are you going away? I'm like, I'm leaving tomorrow. He's like, I'll take you. Let's just chill.
Like you saying it makes you choke up, like almost makes me choke up.
Yeah, right? Like those are the moments that I know eventually, he's 70, going to be 71 next week. But like time is ticking. Like if your parents are still alive, you have to make a conscious effort to see them as much as possible, if you can. If you live in different states, I get it, it's difficult. But like, there's gonna be a point where you get a fucking phone call that your mom and dad are dead. And you better hope that when that phone call comes in, that you can be like, I did everything fucking possible as a son to make them happy, because they provided so much for me in my life. So if you think about it, if you only see your parents like 3 times a year, if you live close to them, if you have a good relationship or whatever, I encourage you to try to have a good relationship, but compound that over like 5 years if they're old. That means you only saw your parents 15 times over those years.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that life. I want to be very tight with them, because one day it's not going to happen. And you can never get that back. Just like you can't get your kids back when they grow, when they're not 3 or 5 or 7. Like, you only have 18 fucking years with your kids. Think about it. And then it's a wrap.
I don't want to think about it,
you have
man.
18, you have, here you go. Not to be like Debbie Downer, but you have 18 summers with your boys. When they turn 18 and 19, they go to college, and you call and they don't pick up because they're ripping it with their friends. You're going to be like, fuck, dude. I hope everything that I did back in the day, I can feel good about myself.
The interesting thing that reminds me of is like when I made a decision to put my phone into airplane mode at 6 o'clock at night in the evening. It wasn't like, oh, I just came up with this great idea. It was like I was coming home with work energy on my phone, like literally walking through the door and on my phone, and my son's like being like, daddy. And I'd be like, hey, like, give me. And one day I caught myself and I was like, whoa, dude. Like, all these fucking kids want, all they want in life. Imagine all you wanted in life was the attention from 2 people. Imagine that. Imagine you didn't give a shit about money. You didn't give a shit about cars. You didn't give a shit about your house, your sneakers, your fucking hat, your anything. All you cared about was the attention of 2 people, your mom and your dad.
Yeah.
That is what the life of a child is, right? All those 2 kids care about. They don't care about how many restaurants I've opened, how many businesses I've run, how much money's in the bank, how many cars we have, motorcycles, fucking saunas and cold plunges and all. They could give a shit. All they want is me to look at them.
Exactly.
When
I
they ask
encourage
my
people
attention.
to do this too, right? Like, I'm always taking photos of them and, oh, let me catch you doing that, right? So sometimes I put my phone down and just watch them without them knowing that I'm like really watching them. And you'll see, and do this with your kids, count how many times your kids look back and look at you. It's really obnoxious how high it is. They'll like move a fucking cup and they'll be like, because they want you to watch them.
100%.
That's why my mornings with them is so awesome, dude. Just like fucking headlocking them, kissing them. We all have stinky breath and we're just like, who cares? We're a crew. Us three are like, we're mega fucking tight. I'm sure you're mega tight with your boys. Like, they're like, can we have boys' night? You know, and they're like, can we go away together? And I'm like, dude, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's how I want to be. You know, if I could be half as good as my dad, I'd be really happy. But I want to go above all that stuff that, you know, maybe he couldn't have provided or whatever for whatever reasons, right? But I have that fear of like not being tight with my boys. That really fucks me up.
Yeah.
I would be devastated if I had a bad relationship with my children.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, I think if I know you're doing an awesome job, and for you it's hard because you have a hard role to follow, right? For me, I didn't have a role to follow. So what I'm doing, I feel like I'm not where I want to be with it, but I'm definitely better than I was than the
No, but
exposure
you're
that I
great,
got.
dude. I see you like on what I see on social, but I know you forever now that I know you're genuine with that stuff.
Oh man, my kids are everything. My wife and my kids, you know, my wife and my kids are everything. They just really are. I mean, it's like, you know, I am my number one priority. That's just the way I've learned that success and happiness in life is achieved when, you know, like if somebody asks me what's the most important thing in your life, they would expect me to say my kids and my wife, of course. And my answer is me.
Correct.
Me. I'm the most important thing. Why?
Because
if I'm not taken care of, I'm just not showing up 100. I'm not showing up 100. And I want to show up 100 because I'd much rather my kids see me at 100 than at 50% consistently. And the way I show up at 100 is I take care of myself and I do that shit before they wake up.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. And I'm happy you said that because a lot of people think when you say that you're a selfish, cocky prick.
Yeah.
You are a prick, no. But it's selfless to think like that, right? And it's hard to explain that to a lot of people because they don't see it and they'll never get it, right? Because they're not happy with themselves or they don't have certain things in their life that make them feel fulfilled or whatever. It's way more than our abs and it's way more than what we do for a living, right? You have to have inner love. Mm-hmm. And it's a really important thing that so a lot of people miss. It just fucking goes over their head.
But you know what's so interesting then, and then we got to wrap this up. But you're a specimen, right? You're a specimen, like physically, you're a specimen. You're a specimen.
I try to.
But listen, what
I'm
saying is that is, and by the way, like I am too. I'm not ashamed of it, right? At all. It's a byproduct of taking care of myself. Taking care of yourself, right? Like it's not like all I care about is that. It's all of it. It's all of it. And when you meet people that like literally do prioritize them, put themselves at the top of their totem pole, where they're not sacrificing time with the people that matter in their lives, but they're actually sacrificing their own time. You're waking up at 5:30. You're putting your kids down. Then you're going to do the shit that you got to do to like be well, right? Like you're not like instead of dinner sitting at the dinner table with your kids, like sitting in the fucking sauna and cold plunging. You know what I'm saying?
No, and I know a lot of fucking dads, for the record, that don't show up like that. That are like fucking off. That don't change diapers, that never fucking hang out, that are like, fuck you, dude, I'm watching TV, I got home from a crazy day at work. I know a handful of dudes. Mm-hmm. Like the other day, I was like down on myself for something, and I like walked by the mirror and I had my shirt off, and I was like, you know what? I shouldn't be down on myself. Look at this hard work. Mm-hmm. But if I don't continue to grind, none of this shit happens.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're a dad and you're listening to this and you just heard what Brian said about like fucking off and watching TV and like not allowing your kids to penetrate your bubble, like do yourself a favor, use this as a cue.
For sure.
Because if you can't hear it from other people in your life telling you, let this be the place to hear it. Because I promise you, that shit, that time is not coming back. And I know how we interact with our children is going to impact their lives forever.
100%.
Forever, you know?
It's like I hate going to the country club in my town in the summer because I'm always getting pulled in 500 different directions by dads being like, dude, like, what do you do? Like, how do I do it? And I'm just like, You're clearly missing the fucking boat. Put down the 10 vodka sodas you just had, and let's start there.
Right.
Right, you fucking idiot. So,
dude, I
that's
love
it.
you, man. I
Totally.
appreciate you taking the time here. Obviously, there's massive value in this, and
I think this was a good convo.
where can people find you?
Find me on IG, just my name. My TikTok is horrible, so don't go on my TikTok. It's really bad.
Is it?
It's just
I haven't
don't
gone
know
on your
clue, dude.
TikTok. I gotta go check out
It's
your
really
TikTok.
bad. I'm trying to like be a TikTok guy, cooking my own meals, and my camera's falling, and it's all over the place. So, I'm not doing that. Just check me out on IG.
Okay.
It's the easiest way.
And if they wanna, if anybody hears,
Yeah, come HPLtraining.com is super easy to access, and we have a summit coming up in Denver, March 23rd to the 26th. Then we're in Montauk, the 18th through the 21st. Then we're launching HPLT Recovery. We don't have the full name yet, but it's gonna be a recovery summit. And then we're in Austin in November.
Sweet. Well, guys, I appreciate you listening in. Do me a favor, please, please, please. If you think this podcast is going to help a friend, a family member, anyone in your network, I would love if you would pass it along. That is why I do this podcast, so I can really, really tell the story of people that have inspired me, what they do on a regular basis to actually show up as their best self. And I promise you that if you pass this off to someone, you will be adding that to your daily routines and habits. You could also give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. That would be really, really nice. I love you. I appreciate you. Until the next one. Peace.